All right. First and foremost, want to give all praises and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shah, Ba'ashem, Rakapadash. Want to give double honor to the apostles and elders of GMS that rule well. Peace, love, salutations to the brothers out there pushing this word of sincerity and the truth. Peace, love, salutations to all the brothers, sisters, and children out there that's keeping this word and sincerity and the truth. We out here once again to let the so-called Blacks, Hispanics, Latinos, and Native Americans know that we are God's chosen people, and we the Israelites, according to the Holy Bible, according to the Heavenly Father. Those that's considered the so-called Blacks, the so-called Hispanics, so-called Native Americans, and so-called Latinos. And amongst those people, and amongst all the other nations around the four corners of the earth, we got our people that scattered, that look like the other nations, but their father's lineage goes back to one of the nations, one of the tribes on the side, which is the tribe of Israel. So we consider those the Israelite foreigners. So the words and the message that we come out to speak every week until Yahweh Shem Yahweh pull us off the streets is the message for the so-called Blacks, Hispanics, Latinos, and Native Americans, and those whose spirit bear witness with this word that may look like the other nations, the Israelite foreigners. And we out here to prophesy the downfall of this wicked kingdom known as Babylon the Great, which is America in modern day form, ruled by the so-called white man, which is Esau Edom, which everything we doing basically the will of the Lord, because he commanded us to come out here and do this. He commanded us to come out here and prophesy, which we can start in Ezekiel 36. Our people think we come out on our own accord, but all we coming out to do is the will of Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai, which is 35. And like I said, we prophesy against this wicked kingdom and all the wicked kingdoms that's ruling on the face of the earth, because our people, the earth was created for the Israelites to rule and the Israelites to be the top nation leading in righteousness. And as you can see, the earth is being led in wickedness by the so-called white man who the earth has been given into, the hands of. Like the scriptures in Job 9:24. The earth is given into the hands of the wicked.
All right, this is Ezekiel 35, chapter 1. Verse 1. It says, "Moreover, the word of the Lord came unto me, saying, Son of man, set thy face against Mount Seir, and prophesy against it.
Right.
And say unto it, Thus says the Lord, Behold, O Mount Seir, I am against thee, and I will stretch out my hands against thee."
Right. So first thing our people have to understand is, our people not hearing these scriptures in the churches. You know, these scriptures are not being taught to them and brought to them and broken down to them. It says, set thy face against Mount Seir. And who was the nation of people that was living in the Mount Seir, in that region, in that land? The Edomites, which in today's today they are known as the so-called white man, but they are Esau Edom, the red man. This is their true nationality, and the Lord said to set thy face against it and prophesy. So now we living in modern day Babylon, which is their modern day Syria, because this is the land that they ruling in, Esau Edom. You know, we setting our face against Esau Edom, and we prophesizing against it, and we prophesizing against this place, because not only is Esau Edom going to be brought down and destroyed, but America is going to be completely destroyed.
And I will stretch out my hand against thee, and I will make thee most desolate.
Right, because the Lord said he was going to do this, you know, which we're going to get a precept in a minute. The Lord said he was going to do this. He was going to bring down the wicked, you know. They thought they're going to think that they're going to build, but the Lord is going to throw down. Which, matter of fact, we can go ahead and get in Malachi chapter 1. Because we understand who this man is now. He has been identified, you know. The man of sin has now been revealed. We know it's Esau Edom, the wicked, the so-called white man. And how we know he the wicked? By all his actions and all the things he has done across the four corners of the earth. He has spread nothing but wickedness, nothing but lies. he has raped, robbed, and murdered and slaughtered the Israelites, and he's stolen the resources of the earth. Now the earth ain't being plentiful, it ain't replenishing itself like it's supposed to. He ain't obeyed none of the laws of the Lord.
All right, this is Malachi chapter 1, verse 1. It says, the burden of the word of the Lord to Israel by Malachi. I have loved you, says the Lord. Yet ye say, where hast thou loved us? Was not Esau Jacob's brother, says the Lord. Yet I loved Jacob, and I hated Esau.
Right, so the Lord said, our people be like, how you know the Lord love us? Some of our people be in that mindset, because they see the condition that our people in. I'm speaking in modern day form now, modern times. A lot of our people, and they might not even say it. They might show it in their actions. They might claim it. They might say that they love the Lord, or they believe the Lord is with them, but in their actions they don't show it. But the Lord said, wasn't Jacob Esau's brother? Or wasn't Esau Jacob's brother? But yet he loved Jacob and he hated Esau because he gave all the blessings to Jacob. It was already established and meant for Jacob to have.
And I hated Esau and laid his mountain and his heritage waste for the dragons of the wilderness.
Right, see, this is the future of Esau Edom, which this is what he had in the past, Mount Seir. But it's all according to the future as well. Lay the mountains and his waste for the dragons, because his mountains right now, his world power, his kingdom, basically, is America, Babylon the Great, and it's gonna be laid waste. It's gonna be utterly and completely destroyed, and it's gonna be for jackals. It's gonna be for desert creatures to dwell here.
Whereas Edom said, we are impoverished, but we will return and build the desolate places.
Right, so this has always been a mindset of Esau Edom. Every time they be brought low and destroyed, they're going to think they're going to return and build up their desolate places. This is what they did during the Renaissance period. When they, after the fall of Rome, their next time coming back into power was the Renaissance period. And when they rose up, they've been ruling ever since. But just like the Lord's, like he said, like it's coming up.
Thus says the Lord of hosts, they shall build, but I will throw down.
Right.
And they shall call thee the borders of wickedness.
Right, they shall build, but the Lord is going to throw down. So they have built up America off the backs of the Israelites, off our forefathers and off of us, because they still benefiting off of the work that they did off our forefathers, and they still benefiting off of us, because we still at the bottom overall as a nation, and Esau Edom still at the top. You have Jake filling all majority of the lower end jobs, or you have Jake filling all in the lower ends above Esau. Like, for example, you have a retail store, you have Jake as the salesman. For the most part, you have Jake as the salesman. You might have some Jakes in the supervisor position. But most of those positions are going to be filled by Esau. And then owned up, you got the district manager, district supervisor, regional supervisor, Like I'm saying, you got Jake, you have him at the lower end salesman. They're not really making as much as the supervisor. You have some Jakes in the supervisor position, the management position. But then after that, you got the district manager, the regional manager, all those, and the positions on above that, all those will be filled by Esau Edom. So they still benefiting off of the hard work of Jake. But ultimately, this country was built off the backs of the Israelites. So they have built up this kingdom, and they benefiting off of it, but the Lord said He's going to throw it down. And we living in the time that the Lord going to officially throw down Esau for good. And the Lord going to let Esau go out with a bang.
And the people against whom the Lord had indignation for help.
Right, and then it said, and we shall cause him the border of wickedness. because now we have identified who he is. So we do call him the border of wickedness. That's why we call him the devil that the Bible speaks of, the wicked, that wicked one, the son of perdition, which is son of destruction. Because this is all Esau Edom is. This is all he has ever displayed while he's been on the face of the earth. Is wickedness, iniquity, death, destruction, murder, false idolatry, all the wickedness that he has wrought amongst our nations.
And the word devil goes into deceit.
El Diablo.
He's deceiving men. Verse 5, he said, and your eyes shall see, and ye shall say, the Lord will be magnified from the borders of Israel.
Right, the Lord is being magnified from the borders of Israel, which is starting with the elect, and just another note, the vibration, the 144, basically 144,000 vibration is being, it's being spread, it's been increasing rapidly, just for a lack of better words. That vibration is heavy in the earth. That's what I really was trying to say, because a lot of brothers and sisters are seeing that number a lot. That just let you know that vibration is very heavy in the earth. And then, just to account for two times I just seen it recently. Today I had to go take a package back to, to ship it off. And, the people, they got to weigh the package just to see how much it weighs so they can know how much, to basically charge you and everything. And the package weighed 14 pounds and 14.4 pounds. And then yesterday, I was just on my phone on the internet, on the internet, and I had scrolled down to see, it was just different web pages. And it gave me like a little summary of history of what was going on. And it said in the past 7 days, well, I was trying to get that sign on. In the past 7 days, it had blocked 144 tractors. It's just two small examples. Well, not small, but it was just two examples of, that energy just, say 144 is being heavily pushed because the kingdom of heaven is, it's raising up. The elect is raising up.
It's the wrong one.
Yeah.
All right, we back in Ezekiel 35, and I'm gonna read verse 4. I'm gonna read verse 3 again. It said, "And say unto it, Thus says the Lord, Behold, O Mount Seir, I am against thee, and I will stretch out my hand against thee, and I will make thee most desolate."
Right, he said he's gonna stretch out his hand against thee and make it most desolate. And this is what the Lord is doing. This is why we see. This is why this is why everything ultimately is happening on the face of the earth, because the earth was given into the hand of the wicked, and now the Lord is basically making Esau Edom lose his rulership and lose his power, because his power, his rulership ain't just over here in America. He had the other nations in subjection too, and now the other nations, they really seeing who he is, and they seeing his wicked plots, and now they ultimately getting their military. The Lord is building up their military might and their power, so they can fight against Esau Edom. So he making him most desolate. Then on top of that, what's going on in America itself? Inflation. Inflation is rising. The gas prices are still high. You still got this C-19, them pushing the jab, trying to make it mandatory. The Lord is bringing, then the plague that's coming on this place. The Lord is, and the great death. All the plagues is coming upon this place that the Lord said in 2nd Ezra chapter 9. They start, they here. They're not starting, they already been here. It's just amplifying, like the birth pains.
And also like although the Most High ordained it, but the man-made famine is happening. Esau holding those containers back and halting the shipping, which is going to trickle down and going to affect a lot of other things, because if the trucking is not working, is not running, then other things going to lack, like the brother mentioned, gas and other supplies are not going to be able to get to where they need to go. So it's going to create a famine You know, not only of food, but a famine of other things as well.
Yeah,
And it's going to affect many people. And I was just reading an article last night about the stock market. You know, like the brother mentioned about inflation. The stock market is so inflated. And, you know, when you inflate a balloon so much, what happened to it? It popped. And that's what's going to happen here. But this time, when we go into this next recession, it's going to be a deep recession that we're not going to be able to come out of. You know, it's going to take America totally down. And they're predicting that popping of the stock market may happen this month. You know, I don't know. You know, it's just hearsay. But until it happens, you know, that's when you can believe. But that's what's on the horizon next. And when that happens, that's going to cause a lot of things and a lot of people to really go crazy. Mainly these Edomites that's got all of their life savings and everything built up into the stock market. You know, it's gonna really crash and really get them jumping and diving off buildings and doing all sorts of things.
right, and then it's gonna affect the jobs too. Just to add on, you know, it's gonna be a lot of things that's gonna be affected. A lot of people they gonna lose their jobs, you know, because you know with the, you know, a lot of people they gonna lose their jobs. They gonna quit their jobs because of the mandates, because of everything being inflated. You know, they gonna have to cut back on people. The companies they gonna have to cut back on their workers. You know, so a lot of people they gonna lose their job. That's gonna cause a lot of people to start stealing and killing for survival, because they're not gonna have the means to pay for anything. If they find another job, their job might not supply them with enough money to be able to take care of the things that they have. So a lot of people gonna be losing stuff. Things gonna be getting cut off. You know, utilities getting cut off. And then we're in this we're in the season where it's gonna get cold and winter. So you know it's gonna really be crucial there. Why Yahweh Shah said in Matthew 24, pray not that your flight be in the winter. You know, pray not things that basically go wrong for you in the winter.
All right, verse 4. It says, I will lay thy cities waste, and thou shalt be desolate, and thou shalt know that I am the Lord.
Right, because Esau Edom gonna understand. When I say Esau Edom, I mean the elites of Esau Edom. They already know. They already know what's going on, what's happening. Because they are part of the plan to crash in America too. But see, in their mind, they think there's gonna be a new world order where they basically recreate everything how they want it to be. But see, it's gonna be
to that rebuild.
to rebuild. Right. But see, it's gonna take divine intervention. The Lord is gonna come back and how about Shem Yahushua, the heavenly host, and they gonna set up the new world order. And Esau Edom gonna understand. He gonna know that this is all the Lord's doing.
Verse 5, because thou hast had a perpetual hatred and hast shedded the blood of the children of Israel by the force of the sword in the times of their calamity, in the times that their iniquity had an end.
Right, in the times that our iniquity had an end. See Esau Edom, he has perpetual hatred. It's not hard to identify who Esau Edom now. All you have to do is just read the scriptures. You know, it say he gonna have a perpetual hatred for the nation of Israel, and they shed their blood by the means of the sword. All of that is documented in Esau's history, what he did to our people. He ain't even trying to hide it. You know, he's not even trying to hide what he did to our people. It's still out there where you can pull up the images of slavery. You can still see it live today. Him shooting our people down and killing our people, you know, and deceiving our people.
During the time when the Messiah walked the earth, and even during the times of the Babylonians and all the Persians, you know, so it goes back further than that, than just slavery.
No, I just had both of them.
All right, verse 6, it says, therefore, as I live, says the Lord, I will prepare thee unto blood, and blood shall pursue thee.
Right, blood shall pursue thee. Numbers 33. What it say?
Let me finish this out. Since thou hast not hated blood, even blood shall pursue thee.
Right, even blood shall pursue thee, because the blood that has been shed in this land, which is the blood of the Israelites, can't be cleansed but by the blood of him that shed it. And that's why the brother said yesterday, all the Edomites that's over here in the land of America, they're gonna be destroyed. You know, this place is gonna be a great bloodbath, and 2/3 of our people gonna take hold of it, because, like like I had stated too last week, our people, they want to be an Edomite so bad, they want this kingdom in America to continue on. So now you're gonna receive the judgment of a Edomite. They want to uplift wickedness and uplift this kingdom. So you're gonna receive the judgment of the wicked. I think it's numbers 33, 35, 35, 36.
What you looking for somewhere?
Nah, you probably won't put this down.
All right, this is Numbers 35 and 33. It says, so ye shall not pollute the land wherein ye are for blood, it defileth the land, and the land cannot be cleansed of blood that it is shed therein. It says, so ye shall not pollute the land wherein ye are for blood, it defileth the land, and the land cannot be cleansed of the blood that is shed therein, but by the blood of him that shed it.
Right, so the land can't be cleansed by the blood that's shed therein, but by the blood of him that shed it. And over here in the land of America, it's documented, like I said, in history. You can pull it all up, and we got the images of it already, of what the so-called white man has done to the nation of Israel. And even though this is only just, mainly the tribe of Judah on here, think about what he.
Well, you got
how all the wickedness that Esau Edom has done to the so-called Native Americans, he has slaughtered them and took over their land. Like the brother brought out, he took over not only just the so-called Native American land, but he took over the so-called Mexicans, the so-called Latinos. He took over all their lands and shed their blood. This is why they in subjection. And then on top of that, think about what he did to Haiti. The so-called Haitians.
Yeah, the question is something, bro? Nah, I just don't agree with everything that y'all got on that board. Check out the sun.
The Mexicans is the Southeast Asian Chino.
Huh?
The white man brought him over here to Mexico to seed himself. He seeded himself in the Indians too. Not calling all black people, we're not all Indians. We are the originals from this land. We are the indigenous. And on here, you got they not the indigenous. The Mexicans, the Indians, the Seminole Indians, them is white people seeded themselves in the Southeast Asian Chino. And they helped gather us and round us up. So whoever wasn't on the plantation or on the reservation, that's why you got the Trail of Tears and all of that. Them people were seeded in there.
Well, I'm gonna say this, bro. For every nation that took over a people, just like when we took over you, we seeded ourselves. You know what I'm saying? That's where you get the Italians from. That's where you get the Irish from. Even though,
but them are Khazars. Those are czars that came out of Southeast Russia.
Now let me finish making. But the czars, like all the czars of Russia, were so-called black people. They ain't gonna show you that. They ain't gonna tell you that.
Now what they did was they took our culture and went and seeded themselves and said we are the original Jew, which the Bible say that they the so-called Jews. Right. So this ain't accurate.
Okay, I feel you got to see it, but it's just like this. You're right. The white man did.
He created his own other race.
I ain't gonna say that because you can't say that because it's just like that. If I go get a white Chinese woman.
That's a whole nother race of people.
No, it ain't. The seed, the man carry the seed. See, this is what the word talk. But let me finish my point. The man carry the seed. Mm-hmm. And the point I'm making is, if I go have a baby by a Chinese woman, it ain't guaranteed the baby gonna come out looking like me. The baby can come out looking like his mom. But when you go and do the lineage, through the father's side, That's my baby. So the baby is what I am. It's the mama don't have nothing to do with the seed. The mama just carrying the baby. The man is the one that planted the seed. So just like you got, it's just like you know about the dark ages, right?
Yeah.
The Moors.
Yeah.
So we was taking the women from southern Italy. You know what I'm saying? In southern Italy, and we was having sex with them. That's where you get the Italians from. A lot of people look at the Italians.
We not really Moorish. The Arabs from Moor, they went and got us, and when they left, then the people said, "Well, where these people from?" And they said these people are Moorish, but we weren't Moorish.
Right, because the word Moor just means black. You know, it's Moreno in Spanish, which means black.
But the Arabs seated themselves in our own culture.
Which every nation, like I said, it's just like that. When the white man took over, he started having sex with our women and making, and having babies. But the nation of Israel, we always been different shades of black. I say, I'm gonna make a point. You got kids?
Yeah.
You got different baby mothers?
No.
See, I got kids, right? I got different baby mothers. Each one of my kids a different shade from the shade their mother is. And I'm making the point I'm making is, how do we know who all these people are?
You can't, because they reseeded themselves.
Even if the white man did spread, we know he spread his seed amongst our people. We did the same thing, though. Cause just like the Italians.
I get it, but we didn't call ourselves just one race of people, the Indians. See.
Nah, the white man. This the name the white man
when
gave.
You put Indians on there, it's false because Columbus thought that he was in India.
Nah, Columbus called him. Said he was one of them guys that called himself one of the Jews. That's
what I'm saying is when he came over here, he thought he was in India, so he called the people Indians, and they weren't Indians.
I forget what the word Indian means, but okay, this the names the white man gave us. So
that's what I'm saying.
But that's why we got these names right here. This the name that the Lord gave us. So it don't matter. You can't judge according to skin color, because like you said, the seed been, the white man put his seeds amongst our people. We put our seed amongst their people. So it's all about the spirit. You got to go back. You got to judge according to the spirit. You can't judge according to the skin color, bro.
I know. That's why I'm looking like
these are bywords.
I can't even go with
yeah.
See, you got West Indians.
Those are bywords.
We got, American and North American Indians. That's not. Gad ain't a North American Indian. North American.
Well, we got North American Indian, so our people can understand, because this the names they name today. But these are names that the Lord gave us. That's why we got these names right here, and then we got these names right here, so that our people can understand. We just had Gad, Benjamin, Levi. Our people are not gonna know who they
I get it, but they messed us up with that, and that way that's off.
But it ain't. So let me ask you this: what you think about the Bible?
I believe the Bible.
Okay, so get Deuteronomy 28 and 37, because the Lord said the Lord said he was gonna bring the curse on us for not listening, for making covenants with these nations. He said we was gonna be called by rulers. He said we was gonna get on Jeremiah 17 and 4.
Oh, I know the word. I know what you're saying, but I'm saying that classification is off.
Which classification?
When you put Indian
which, like I said, we get Deuteronomy 28.
Like you got Gad. Gad ain't the North American Indian.
28, verse 37.
Reuben is not the Seminole Indian.
What does the word Seminole Indian mean?
Them words that
the white man gave
us.
But when you look it up,
after they seeded themselves.
But
see, like you ain't got the Mississippi Choctaw Indians on there.
Which they part of the North American Indians, because
that's
North
what I'm saying.
America.
The classification is off.
But don't go nowhere. Hold on. We gonna show you.
But you know that ain't right.
According to what?
According to history, they seeded themselves. The white man put himself into the nation. He created a whole nother race of people.
You can't create a whole race of people. You either can be.
He took the Southeast Asian Chino and changed their genome by introducing himself, and then he seeded them as Indians. That's called all of them Indians. We all not Indians. We're not even from India. When you go to India, you get how you got black people calling it.
The so-called Negroes come from the tribe of Judah.
I get that.
The so-called, it's so-called. The so-called West Indians, kind of like you said, get Deuteronomy 28 and 37.
It's like you can't just classify Negroes with Judah.
It's Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 37.
We can according to the prophecy. We can't judge, because just like you can't judge according to skin color.
understand
Just say for instance you or me. I might think I'm from the tribe of Judah because it's so-called Hebrew, but I could be from any one of these.
That's what I'm telling you.
Right.
That's exactly what I'm saying.
Right. So don't go nowhere though. But that's why we ain't judged according to color. It's all about your spirit. Because we can have somebody darker than me and you. But he got the spirit of a damn white boy. Yeah, just like a white boy. So we know you might be one of them. Your lineage might go back to him.
I get that, but the classification is just off.
Go ahead. But see, how do we what's the accuracy of what the saying? It's all according to the Bible.
Well, I mean, in order to get out of this physical form, you have to transform yourself mentally out of the form.
Right. So
or you will be reincarnated.
It starts with knowing of who you are. That's what it starts with. Going back to knowing who you are.
So who is the King of Kings in Revelation 5:5?
It's Yahweh Shai. He a dark-skinned man with woolly hair.
But he had to come
brother.
He had to come on this earth.
Of course he did.
He had to have a kingdom.
He had flesh.
That's Haile Selassie.
Go ahead, bro.
Deuteronomy 28.
That's Haile Selassie, cousin.
And thou shalt become a.
But I'm gonna say this about. I'm gonna say this about Haile Selassie. You can look it up. Which I know Haile Selassie, he became one of the kings of Ethiopia.
King of Kings.
But guess what though? Why they got image of Haile Selassie kissing the hand of one of them so-called white cat?
Yeah, they got images of a lot of different stuff that might be
the real King of Kings ain't finna do that.
So you saying
Haile Selassie
he's not who you think he is?
Why is he bowing down to a white man, kissing his hand?
I don't think he didn't bow down.
He did. I watched videos of Haile Selassie because I know who he is.
So you saying that he not the elect of God?
No.
He not the pole of the Trinity.
He ain't the King of Kings.
He not the light of this world.
No.
I got it.
No, he not.
I got it.
Go ahead.
A lot of that word say he is.
Verse 37.
We'll give you the Bible. You got to prove it. Go ahead, bro. But like I said, one thing to prove that he wasn't. I saw him bowing down to them white cats.
You can say that.
And kissing their hand.
But when Shiloh comes, didn't the England didn't they have to turn over the scepter to him?
Who?
England. They did that.
Turn over the scepter to who?
To Selassie.
He bowed down kissing their hand.
No, I'm talking about what happened.
What you mean what happened?
The scepter of God was given to him. It had been taken. They gave it back.
So why he not ruling that? Where is he now?
What you mean? He did rule. He ruled for almost 55 years.
Huh?
He ruled for almost 55 years.
But the King of Kings gonna rule forever. His
the
kingdom is
book
an everlasting kingdom.
the book says shut up the book. He coming again. He gonna keep coming. He not gonna stop coming. When would the spirit of Christ
so let me say
not come?
Matter of fact, get Genesis 49 right quick.
Genesis 49.
Because see, it said
Shiloh.
Right. So the gathering of the people. So if he was, who did he gather?
He did gather the people.
Who? He did. When Shiloh comes talking about the Lord and Savior, all the 12 tribes.
So who you saying that is?
Who?
Because it's a man right now who is touching people all over the world. That's Sadhguru. You ever heard of Sadhguru?
No.
See, Sadhguru is the imitation of Christ. He is that. He did the same thing. He walked on water. He healed people. See, in the Bible where it talk about the 7 churches, they talking about Shiva, when he blessed the 7 Saptarishis and sent them out into the earth to bless the people, to show them how to transcend themselves. They talking about.
So where you get that from? Where that knowledge come from?
Their knowledge come
out the Bible.
Yeah, it's in the Bible. When he sent out the 7 churches, them is 7 Saptarishis.
Genesis 49:1. And Jacob called unto his sons and said, gather yourselves together, that I may tell you that which shall befall you in the last days. Gather yourselves together, and hear, ye sons of Jacob, and hearken unto your Israel your father.
Because even when having his son, it was prophesied that he was going to do this in the last days.
I get it, but
it's in the book of Ezekiel, the 37th chapter. It's confusing because, first of all, we we gonna go into it. It's
See, we can't find our religion outside of ourselves.
We don't got no.
It
We
ain't
don't believe.
outside.
We
It's
don't.
inside of
Of
you.
course, the kingdom of heaven within.
It's inside.
Right.
So that's exactly what he's saying.
Reuben, thou art my firstborn.
So it said Reuben. Reuben was the firstborn of Jacob, the tribe of Reuben. Go ahead.
My might and the beginning of my strength,
Right.
the excellency of dignity and the excellency of power,
Right.
unstable as water.
So because this how we know who the tribes are. It said Reuben is unstable as water. That's why I asked you, what does this word Seminole Indian mean? Because see, the Seminole Indians, they one of the only tribes that made no covenants with the so-called white men. So that's why they named them Seminole. The word Seminole means unstable, untamed. They couldn't tame the Seminole. So that's why they put that.
I get it, but
I'm saying.
over time, you can relate certain words to certain attributes.
But see, when the white man named them that, he wasn't naming them that because he knew the Bible said that. He was doing it. But this how powerful the word of the Most High is. But Jacob making this prophecy before he passed away, he prophesied how you gonna know who his sons are in the last days. Right. Reuben, thou unstable as water. You know what I'm saying? When the white man named him Seminole because he couldn't tame him. Reuben didn't make no treaties with the so-called white man.
But you got a lot of groups of people that fit that description.
No, but go ahead.
No,
Unstable as water.
But this talking about the 12 tribes.
No, I'm talking about, but you got a lot of groups of people that fits that exact description. Yeah, you got a lot of groups that's unstable.
But that's why.
Then what about all the people that was in South America? Well, God said, in that land, I'm gonna cover it up with bushes. Ain't nobody gonna be able to live there but the
you
animals.
see all the South American tribes on here too. That's why you got the South American tribes on
But
here.
you classifying them the wrong way.
This is so you can know who they are today. But this is their name. This is the name that
That's
the
like,
Lord
God,
put
I
on.
get it. We can stand here and argue over it, but I'm telling
It ain't no
you,
argument.
your
That's just
classification
go ahead, bro.
is off.
Unstable as water.
So Reuben is unstable as
It's a
water.
lot of
Thou
folks
shalt
that's
not
unstable.
excel.
You saying the Southeast Asian Chinos wasn't unstable?
Who was the Southeast Asian chief?
The people that the white people went to Southeast Asia and got the Chinos and brought them to Mexico for slavery. But it wasn't the same kind of slavery. Then he took them same people and started inbreeding himself, seeded them in America, and got them to help round us up.
Unstable as water.
Check that out.
Thou shalt not excel.
See, okay. A lot. See, the white man, that's another thing he do too, though. He twist up a lot of history.
That's what I'm talking about.
Keep us, I'm saying, but the history, what you saying right now, that's his history. So who makes that accurate? Our accuracy come from we look at his history, then we go back to the Bible. First we go to the Bible. This is our source right here, because we know this is the word of the Most High. So we go to the source. Then we look at the white man history. Oh, you try to twist this up. You try to twist this up. This is our filter right here. Everything he try to bring up, we filter through the scriptures. So because see, ain't no getting past the scriptures. This is a history book too.
I get it.
The Bible kept up with history. So whenever the white man try to lie and add something, we like, nope, because that ain't there. You tried to add that to throw us off.
And this is what's throwing us off right here.
This ain't now. This is what's bringing clarity. This is because see who speaks other. Because see, even when you bring up Haile Selassie, he never went into. They never like even the Haile Selassie and the Rastafari. They say they from the tribe of Judah, the kingdom of Judah. The kingdom of Judah is just 3 tribes: Judah, Benjamin, and Levi. What about the other tribes?
That's exactly why I'm saying
See,
it's
Haile
off.
Selassie but the Bible talk about 12 tribes. Just like we're finna read that. This going into 12 tribes. Haile Selassie was just talking about, okay, we the kingdom of Judah. But to get hold of Ezekiel 37, the Lord said he gonna bring the whole 12 tribes together. When shit, like you said, until Shiloh should have gathered other people be. So if Haile Selassie was Shiloh to gather other people, he would have been gathering all these tribes together, which he ain't do that. Which the Lord doing that now because he is the word. So he doing that via the word.
Who is
But he
Shiloh?
gonna come in a physical form.
So who is
to actually
Shiloh?
gather these people, huh?
So who is Shiloh?
Who the word ignorant called Jesus Christ, which his name is Yahweh Shai, our Lord and Savior, and wasn't no Haile Selassie.
So he had to come according to the flesh.
He came already and died for the sins of his people.
So who was that?
His name is
Now,
Yahweh
hold on,
Shai.
you know you got
he the firstborn son.
16
He our big brother.
I'm saying you got 16 crucified saviors that they talking about.
According to what?
According to history.
But now the Bible is the history.
I get it, but I'm saying it's a broad definition of what's happening.
Which they was crucifying thousands of violence.
No, I'm talking about the ones that they say would come back and rise again, like Osiris was the first one who had the resurrection story. The story has been repeated.
Which they took them stories that came.
So which one came first?
The story where you have a shot.
No, the story of Isis and Osiris.
That's what they say, bro. So
No, I'm saying the history goes way back before that.
The
history.
What history?
Goes way back before that.
But you gotta understand something.
The Gilgamesh epics.
Right. That go back to the Samaritans, which that's history in here because that's when Nimrod and them wrote, but them ain't our people.
They got confusion.
That was not our people, just like this, bro.
Those are our people.
Just like this.
Hold up. So you saying that the people that built pyramids all over the world?
Pyramids.
Well, then that's what I'm talking
about. Built the pyramids.
Okay, then they was everywhere, all over the world.
But wasn't this a known fact that the Kemetic people had us in slavery first? The sons of Ham.
Them was Arabs.
Nah, them was the dark-skinned Egyptians.
No, them was Arabs. Them Arabs that sold alcohol to our people, traded alcohol and tobacco and guns.
Now you talking about when we came as far as the transatlantic slave trade, which we got that's
I'm talking about before that.
It's documented in the
See,
Bible.
slavery wasn't slavery like you saying. Slavery was more indentured servitude where we went and captured your people and y'all come over here and work, but it wasn't slavery like we had worked over here for free. They actually got paid. They actually lived like human beings.
Well, in Egypt, like you said, they just plotted on us. They made us do our work, but it wasn't the type of slavery that America had us in.
That's what I'm saying.
Right.
So what I'm telling you is the Arabs switched up the whole game.
But it wasn't only the Arabs.
The Bible says that they got us from the other side of the Euphrates, and that's where God is going to bring us back to, right. The other side of the Euphrates.
Okay, let me say this, bro. You got to get the understanding of the story. It's two people that helped take us into slavery: the so-called Arabs and the so-called Africans. But just like this, just because you got them so-called Africans dark skinned like us, that don't mean we the same people. We can get Arabs and East Indians darker than me and you.
That's the
but
confusion.
We not the same people. So we got to understand.
That's exactly what I'm saying. When you classify us as just Indian, man, that's off.
It ain't just Indian. The white man classified us as
Well, I ain't taking his classification.
We not. Just like you said, what you call them, the East Indian?
The Southeast Indian Chino.
So who named them then? Where did that name come from?
The white man. Because he told you where he got them from.
Let me make my point. Calling them the Southeast Indian Chinos, right? To classify who those people are according to how people know who they are today, the same way we doing with these people. But that is not their name. They so-called it. But what are their true names according to the Heavenly Father? What He gave them? It's the tribe of Gad, the tribe of Reuben, it's the tribe of Naphtali.
That's confusion.
It's the tribe
right
of it ain't confusion.
That's total confusion.
But you're contradicting yourself.
How can you say that Simeon is the Dominicans? How can you say that Simeon is the Dominicans when the Dominicans was brought to where they were?
Finish Genesis 49.
The Dominicans wasn't even there. It was white people there. They brought their Dominicans there. Them was the Spanish people. So you classifying Simeons as off-breed Dominicans from the Spanish?
So let me just like you said, after you phrase it, get 2 Esdras 13, because you say you believe in the Bible. It's gonna tell if you do. Because everything you just brought up, we finna prove it in the Bible. How is these people named this and that? Finish that whole 2 Esdras 13, round 39.
Genesis 49, read verse 3 again. Reuben, thou art my firstborn, my might, and the beginning of my strength,
right? The
excellency of dignity.
Because when you have your firstborn son, according to the nation of Israel, that's the beginning of your strength. No, that was one of my customs in our heritage. Go ahead.
And the excellency of power.
Right.
Unstable as water.
So Reuben was unstable as water. The white man, so-called white man, couldn't tame Reuben. Then he was always on the move.
How did the white man?
Go ahead. The so-called white man, his real name is Esau. He the nation of
Edom.
Let the Bible.
It's a long way that the white man had to come in to be able to call him Reuben. The white man wasn't nowhere near the tribes when God named him.
We ain't say he was.
But that's what I'm saying. You saying that the white man gave him the name Sin.
I'm talking about when they came to. That's why we gonna hold 2 Esdras.
What's Jacob's brother? What's
Esau? He was white.
Who is Esau?
He was white.
He was red.
Okay, well, I mean, you know what I'm saying? He was albino.
Right.
He was an albino.
Right.
And who are these kids? Who are they father?
Jacob.
Okay, then. He was there. He existed.
He existed. But his history didn't bring us to the point of him naming us till years later.
Now
Thousands
we
of years
under,
later.
over here, right? The time when they came over here, when Columbus came over here in
He
14,
called us Indians because he thought he had hit Indians.
during the Renaissance period.
He said, "Are y'all Indians? Because I'm an Indian." And he was wrong.
Indian, man. Get there.
He was wrong.
Get there. Second Ezra 13. All right, this is Second Ezra 13, verse 39. I'm gonna start at 39. It said, "And whereas thou sawest that he gathered another peaceable multitude unto him." And it's talking about Yahushua, the son of the firstborn son, because we sons of the Most High too. You know, it's just Yahushua, the Lord said he was the firstborn son, and he put everything on the land for all his brothers.
I get it. Come on, let the scripture tell you.
Verse 40, it says, "Those are the 10 tribes." So those are the 10 tribes, because during the time of Solomon, when Solomon let the woman work, build it, with the two.
So at that time, who named them?
They was already named.
This is my point.
Right, the Most High named us. Let me finish. The kingdom split into two kingdoms. It split into the southern kingdom.
You think that they named us in English?
Who? Go ahead.
When they wrote the names, do you think they was written in English?
What you mean? They were speaking English. Columbus was speaking English at the time.
They weren't speaking English.
What you mean? What was they speaking? Old English.
This man came from Spain. They were speaking Spanish.
Go ahead, which are carried away prisoners out of their own land in the times of Osea. Right. So the 10 tribes are like I was.
Okay, so this is what they did. They came over here. They seated themselves. Then, in order to take over us, I'm saying they did go get us and bring us back, so they could change our history and say, "Oh no, y'all came from over there," and not telling us.
Bro, you can't freestyle.
You see the Olmec head? The Olmec head represents the fact that we've been here for thousands of years.
Of course, we was coming over here during the time.
So they can't name us. They can't name us in English, bro.
No, listen though.
Come on.
Listen, the white man
the English language didn't even exist.
You gonna let the scriptures out? See, we got the history of how the Olmecs got here. Solomon was sending his name over here during the time of King Solomon, like you said, thousands of years before this.
So what they was they called an English word?
Huh?
They wasn't calling no English word.
Even if they were speaking Spanish, but these are the names today in the English, so we can understand.
That's what I said. It's off.
Go ahead, but it ain't not for you to say the southeast Chino. That's English.
No,
what was their name before that?
I don't know.
So is yours off?
But I ain't gonna say that all. I can't classify all of them. I can't classify all of them as Indians.
Huh?
That's all I'm telling you.
Ain't none of them Indians. They the Israelites. We the 12 tribes of Israel.
This is what I'm trying to tell you.
Ain't none of them Indians, bro.
The word Indian on all of these like that is
the Southeast Asian Chino.
You ain't even got the Mississippi Choctaw in it. That's the biggest
tribe. He fought all the North American Indians.
But you should put
ain't this North America?
Put that on there.
We don't gotta put it.
You got North American Indians as Gad. That's wrong.
We know. Go ahead, bro. This is verse 40 again. It said, "They are the 10 tribes which were carried away prisoners out of their own land in the time of Osea the king, whom Shazmanar, the king of Assyria, Salmanasar, the king of Assyria, led away captive." Right. So this is during the time. It's 2 Kings 17. It's during the time of right after King Solomon, when the kingdom split into two kingdoms. And the northern kingdom went into slavery first. Why? Because they called themselves, which it was the Lord overall. Because he told Solomon he gonna split the kingdom, he gonna rent the kingdom, out of his hand. During the time of his sons. For Solomon letting Moabite women building different gods and the other women building different gods, temples to their gods in Jerusalem. So the Lord split the kingdom into two. Go ahead. And he carried them over the water. Which hole they did out? Let's just finish this right out. And so came they into another land.
2 Kings 17, verse 1. In the 12th year of Ahaz, king of Judah.
See, that's what I have people do, Salaki. If I can say this, they talk about the white men, this and that, and this and that. Bro, that's what that's the history, where you get your history from, bro. I'm going to bring you some literature. We got our literature is the Bible.
I'm talking about the history.
This is the history.
They changed the language on
We that's why we go back into the Hebrew, the original language.
But you ain't got Hebrew words on there.
The word, go ahead, bro. But if we had Hebrew words on here, would nobody understand it?
But you need to say that.
We did. You ain't give us chance.
Them classifications are.
Go ahead, bro.
It's Second
You should
Kings.
take
See,
that
you
Take
gotta.
that sign down.
One thing about it is, you gotta use the Bible as your filter, bro. You've been studying all this different history.
No, I have not.
Just like as far as Egyptology.
So who taught you about Columbia?
Columbus. That's the white man history.
But he not in the Bible,
Yeah, he in there. We got that history in here too.
right?
Revelations to the 20th chapter. See how people think they smart and think they know something, but they don't understand when they go into all this Egyptology and committee. The white man controls that. He the one call himself ciphering the pyramid. All the stuff was written. He the one call himself on translating it. He can't translate what we going into. He learning that. He learning from us. He can't break the Bible down. Go ahead. He just think he knew. He think he knows something.
Because he don't want to listen to. He don't want to take the word as the word is saying when you read it. And then when you did read the word, he tried to freestyle and put it into his own words. So he's just a plain scoffer.
But he just wanted to make himself right. He had pride that he didn't want to be wrong. So once the word to catch him up, then he'll try, like you said, he'll try to add what he think. You know. Go ahead, bro.
2 Kings 17, verse 1. In the 12th year of Ahaz, king of Judah, began Hoshea, the son of Elah, to reign in Samaria over Israel 9 years.
Right, King Hosea, man.
And he did that.
So this show you how. So we correlate what they call the apocrypha in the Bible. This history. This how you link this up. This how you go into how the other tribes was already here when Columbus got here. Columbus knew he wasn't landing in no damn India. If you watch the movie 1492, when Columbus was getting funded by the king and the queen, he basically he referenced the scripture in Esdras. He referenced the scriptures in Esdras, basically going into this why they funded him, because he knew the tribes was over here. They knew about the 12 tribes. They knew the tribes was already here. Go ahead, bro. So he wasn't looking for land. He was looking for the tribes. He knew that he go ahead, bro.
And he did that which was evil in the sight of the Lord, but not as the kings of Israel that were before him. Against him came up Shalmaneser, king of Assyria.
The king of Assyria. This is what the brother going to in second Ezra.
And Hosea became his servant,
Right.
and gave him presents. And the king of Assyria found conspiracy in Hoshea, but he had sent messengers to So, king of Egypt, and brought no present to the king of Assyria, as he had done year by year. Therefore the king of Assyria shut him up and bound him in prison.
Right.
Then the king of Assyria came up throughout all the land and went up to Samaria and besieged it 3 years.
Right.
In the 9th year of Hoshea, the king of Assyria took Samaria and carried Israel away into Assyria.
Carry Israel away into Syria. So that's talking about the northern kingdom, so-called Hispanics and Latinos, and the so-called Native American Indians.
And placed them in Halah and in Habor by the river of Goza and in the cities of the Medes. For so it was.
So it took them out of their own land and placed them in another land. Go ahead.
For so it was that the children of Israel had sinned against the Lord their God, which had brought them up out of the land of Egypt from under the hand of Pharaoh, king of Egypt, and had feared other gods, and walked in the statutes of the heathen, whom the Lord cast out before the children of Israel.
For all our people looking up to Haile Selassie like he was some great guy, go watch the videos, go on the History Channel. It showed the videos that he was ruling. Then all of a sudden, them white boys started coming in them white Catholics and religious guys started coming into Ethiopia. They got big pictures of him bowing down, kissing their hand. but our people look up to him like he was some great guy. Even if he tried to stand his ground and hold up, you know, which a lot of brothers say he was a heathen, he was a so-called East Indian, you know, which I don't know, which he could have been Jake looking like one of them, you know. But the truth of the matter is, he was kissing, he bowed down to the religious lead, them so-called religious guys that came and took over Ethiopia. They showed him bow down, and you could tell he was trying to hide and do. You go look up video, the history on Haile Selassie. And then when I forget which kingdom it was a attack, whoever it was came in there, he would bow down kissing them white boys' hands. Go ahead, dog.
And walked in the statutes of the heathen, whom the Lord cast out before the children of Israel, and the kings of Israel which they had made. And the children.
Read the verse, 2 verses before that again.
Verse 6. In the 9th year of Hoshea, the king of Assyria, took Samaria.
Listen, we link everything through the Bible. Them Rastafari, where they at now? Where they at prophesizing, breaking down who the so-called white man is, who the 12 tribes are. You know, this mark of the beast. You know what I'm saying? They know that they was from the tribe of Judah, them so-called Jamaicans. They was from the kingdom of Judah. They know America's Babylon the Great. But who break it down? They ain't going into no prophecies. You know, like the Bible say, the elect of the nation of Israel gonna be doing it in these times, breaking down who the 12 tribes are, and all that. They not doing it. Go ahead, bro.
In the 9th year of Hosea, the king of Assyria took Samaria and carried Israel away into Assyria, and placed them in Halah and in Habor by the river of Gozan, and in the cities of the Medes. For so it was that the children of Israel had sinned against the Lord their God,
Right.
which had brought them up out of the land of Egypt from under the hand of Pharaoh, king of Egypt.
So the so-called Kemetic people had us in slavery first. The so-called Arabs, they are not our people. A lot of our people all in their Kemetic Egyptology. Yeah, they had you in slavery first. But just like when the Lord led us out of Egypt, you had a lot of our people in the wilderness wanting to go back into Egypt. That's why a lot of our people into their different religions now, because that make their life easier in America. You start to say you're an Israelite, you know what I'm saying? Now you got to keep the custom of the Israelites. Now it causes you to be disciplined. You know, you can't do what you want to do. You know, you got to put the black woman in her place now. And then that's going to bring another type of hell. You know what I'm saying? Which the Kemetic people say the black woman is God. They worship the black woman. She can do this, she can do that.
It really makes you a target too.
That's why Yahweh Shah said your enemies will be of your own household. Because it's a division there.
For it was so
But that ain't only with the woman. That's, you know, they can be with, that's your family, period.
For it was so that the children of Israel had sinned against the Lord their God, which had brought them up out of the land of Egypt, from under the hand of Pharaoh, king of Egypt, and that fear of the God.
This is why they went into captivity. You know, and it started with the northern kingdom, then eventually the southern kingdom. We went in captivity too. Go ahead. But we just getting this history to go back into second Esdras and show you how the 10 tribes got over here. Because the lie that white man like to tell, oh, this and that, they came from Asia through the Bering Straits. That's a lie. That's why the Bible covers history too. Right. So can't nobody, you never stand escape. You try to make up your own history, but that's recorded in the Bible too. They tell you when doing the real Son Spirit, you're going to go out to the seed of nations. When you get loose from your prison. Right. You know, so we got all that covered. Go ahead, bro.
And walked in the statutes of the heathen.
See? And walked in the statutes of the heathen.
Whom the Lord cast out from before the children of Israel and of the kings of Israel which they had made. And the children of Israel did secretly those things that were not right against the Lord their God.
So they were secretly worshiping them other gods. Go ahead.
And they built them high places in all their cities, from the tower of the watchman to the fenced city. And they set them up images and groves in every high hill and under every green tree.
Now, people, how do you do that today? When you celebrate Easter, you ain't hiding in that because you think you're doing the right thing.
Right.
You know, when you celebrate Christmas and Easter, all that goes back to these heathen. That's paganism. When all you gotta do is Google the origin of all these holidays, and it'll let you show you go back to paganism.
Some false god, some idol. And there they burnt incense in all the high places, as did the heathen whom the Lord carried away before them, and wrought wicked things to provoke the Lord to anger.
Right, and you can read one more verse. We're gonna go to this spec in a second here, then you can get back to what you was on. It's just an edification thing over here.
They said, well, the Lord has said unto them, ye shall not do this thing. I said, this thing.
Go ahead, bro. Throw it back at where you stirred now. All right, this is 2nd Ezra 13:39. And whereas thou sawest that he gathered another peaceable multitude unto him, those are the 10 tribes. Right, the other peaceable multitude is talking about the northern kingdom. Go ahead. Those are the 10 tribes which were carried away prisoners. See, this is why the Apocrypha is so important. This is why they pulled it out. Because this explains to you how the so-called Hispanics, Latinos, and Native American Indians was already on this side of the world. Right. This is our reference book. We know the white man is a liar. He claimed he explored America. But it show you how dumb it is. He clearly show you that people was already here.
Right, that's a lot. The doctrine of discovery. Basically, if he come over here and say he found it first, then he discovered it, like the brother said. You know, a lot of people give examples about it, like, you know, if you set your car keys out in front of you, set them on the table, and somebody come and say, "Oh, I discovered these car keys. Now this is mine." That's basically the doctrine of discovery. That's what Esau Edom pushed.
Which goes back to Psalms, where it said he named his land after his own self. So he came over here to say he discovered it. So he named it the Americas. Just to claim ownership. Like verse 40 said, those are the 10 tribes which were carried away prisoners out of their own land.
Right. Go ahead, and it's documented in the book of the 2nd Kings. Tell your pastors to break this stuff down if we so wrong. We're going to the history. Go ahead.
In time of Hosea the king.
Right.
Whom Shalmaneser, the king of Assyria, led away captive, and he carried them over the waters. And so came they unto another land.
And so came they into another land.
But they took this counsel among themselves. That they would leave the multitude of the heathen.
Where the multitude of the heathen was, on the east side of the world. Right. On that side of the world, go ahead. On the east side of the world, go ahead.
And go forth into a further country.
Go forth into a further country.
Where never mankind dwelt.
Where no man ever lived. They came. Solomon was sending his navy over here to get different resources, but nobody never lived and stayed over here. Everybody was on that side of the world at the time. So this is the place where no man ever lived. Go ahead. They took this counsel. Go ahead. What did they say?
That they might keep their statutes. That they may keep their statutes, which they never kept in their own land.
So this is their mind frame. We're going to lead a multitude of all these heathen nations. The Lord punished us. He took us into slavery through the Assyrians. So we're going to come over here where mankind never dwelt. And we're going to try to keep our law, statutes, and commandments. That's what they mind frame when they came over here. Go ahead.
And they entered into the Euphrates,
like that brother said. He brought up the Euphrates and all that. But he just going, wait, where did that come from? That came out of the Bible. The white man ain't tell you they went to Euphrates. They came through the Bering Straits. They said they from Asia. Go ahead.
By the narrow places of the river.
Go ahead.
For the Most High.
By the Horn of Africa. Go ahead.
For the Most High then showed them signs for them. And held still the floods till they were passed over.
Right, so he showed them the signs in the heavens, and
And he held still the flood so they was passed over. Go ahead.
For through that country
Yeah.
where there was a great way to go,
Right. It was a great way to go. Go ahead.
namely of a year and a half.
It took a year and a half to get over here.
And the same region is called Azarah.
Arsaroth. The same region is called Arsaroth, which means bitter. Go ahead.
Then dwelt they there until the latter times, and now when they shall begin to come.
Then they dwelt there to the latter time. So they let you know they was gonna be here to the last day, just like Genesis 49. When Jacob was saying this shall befall you in the last days. Go ahead.
The highest shall stay the springs of them, Salaki. The highest shall stay the springs of the streams again, that they may go through. Therefore, sawest thou the multitude with peace.
Go ahead.
But those that be left behind of thy people,
But those that be left behind are thy people. Who was those that were left behind? The southern kingdom. We were still over there. See, that's what people don't understand. During the time of Yahushua, who the word Israel called Jesus Christ, the northern kingdom had been here. They had already been here for, I think they came over here around the 700s BC. So they had been here like 700 years before Yahushua, because they came before the Babylonian captivity, which the Babylonian captivity was like the 500s BC. The Syrians our people had already been over here 700 years when Yahushua came up on the scene. So by the time Columbus came, 1492, right? That was you can say roughly that people had been here like roughly 2,000 years. The northern kingdom, that's why they had great civilizations built up already. It was flourishing. Right. And they was hearing about it. Go ahead.
And think about it. You know, it's flourishing. They ain't had no intruders. They ain't had no outside nations coming over here.
But if you just extrapolate on it, I bet we were still going back and forth. You had some of the northern kingdom going back to that side, and you had, because it was remnants of the northern kingdom still on that side. Right. So it was some back and forth going. You think some of the southern kingdom was still sending different people over here to get certain stuff? Resources, and Esau knowing about it, and you know the other nations knowing about it. Because you knew Ham know about it during the time of Solomon. So you know the other nations was knowing about it. So it wasn't that he just looked up on America now. Go ahead. He had, matter of fact, Columbus had Hebrew interpreters when he came.
it said, the highest shall stay the springs of the streams again, that they may go through. Therefore sawest thou the multitude with peace.
So this part of the history that the white man, is why he took the Apocrypha out. One of the reasons. Go ahead.
But those that be left behind of thy people are they that are found within my borders.
Who was found within his borders? When you have who was found within the borders? The southern kingdom. And they still over there, they still found within the borders. And remnants of the northern kingdom also. Go ahead.
Now, when they destroyed the multitude of the nations that are gathered together, he shall defend his people that remain.
Right, going into the remnant.
It's 2 Kings 17. I'm sorry.
Do you need to pick up where you left off at? Is it farther down?
I left off at it. Yeah, it's further down.
But you can skip, man.
Yeah, I had left off at 10.
Go ahead.
So 2 Kings 17. I'm gonna start at verse 18, 20 to 24.
Really?
Therefore the Lord was very angry with Israel and removed them out of his sight.
Right.
There was none left but the tribe of Judah only.
See, there was none left but the tribe of Judah, and that's talking about Judah, Benjamin, and Levi. Go ahead.
Also Judah kept not the commandments of the Lord their God,
Right.
but walked in the statutes of Israel which they made. And the Lord rejected all the seed of Israel and afflicted them, and delivered them into the hand of the spoilers until he had cast them out of his sight.
Right.
Where he rent Israel from the house of David, and they made Jeroboam the son of Nebat king, and Jeroboam drave Israel from following the Lord and made them sin a great sin. For the children of Israel walked in all the sins of Jeroboam, which he did, they departed not from them.
Get on whole Matthew chapter 10.
Until the Lord removed Israel out of his sight, and he did, and he had said, as he had said by all his servants the prophets, so was Israel carried out of their own land to Assyria until this day.
Come.
And the king of Assyria brought men, that's the point, from Babylon and from Qatar.
See, so the king of Assyria brought men from Babylon into Car. So he started bringing heathen nations to our land. Go ahead.
And from Abba and Hamath and from Sepharvaim, and placed them in the cities of Samaria.
They placed them in the city of Samaria. Go ahead.
Instead of the children of Israel.
Right.
And they possessed Samaria and dwelt in the cities thereof.
Come.
And so it was at the beginning of their dwelling there that they feared not the Lord. Therefore the Lord sent lions among them, which slew some of them.
Right. Go ahead.
Wherefore they spake unto the king of Assyria, saying, the nations which thou hast removed and placed in the cities of Samaria know not the manner of the God of the land.
Right.
Therefore he hath sent lions among them, and behold, they slay them.
He sent lions among them and slay them. Go ahead.
Because they know not the manner of the God of the land.
They get that story in verse 4 and 5. And this is why Yahushua was making this statement right here. You have to go back into the history. What happened who was dwelling in the land of Samaria? You know, they started to bring, the king of Syria started to bring heathen nations into their land.
Oh, Then the king of Assyria commanded, saying, carry thither one of the priests whom ye brought from thence, and let them go and dwell there, and let them teach them the manner of the God of the land.
Right, so he went and got our priests to teach them the manners of our people, which that was never the custom. The Lord never told us to do it. Right. Go ahead.
Then one of the priests whom they carried away from Samaria came and dwelt in Bethel, and taught them how they should fear the Lord.
Right.
Howbeit every nation made gods of their own, and put them in the houses of the high places which the Samaritans had made, every nation in their cities wherein they dwelt.
Come, there you go.
Oh no, go ahead. Well, I was gonna say this why the Lord, adding on what he said, that's why the Lord said, don't go into those cities, go into the lost sheep of the house of Israel.
Go ahead.
Those people were trying to be us.
Come.
All right, this is Matthew 10, verse 4. It says, Simon the Canaanite and Judas Iscariot.
Let's go ahead, verse 5.
All right, this is Matthew 10 and 5. It said, these 12 Yahushua sent forth and commanded them, saying, go.
This is why Yahushua was telling them this. Go ahead.
Go not into the way of the Gentiles.
Go not into the way of the Gentiles.
And into the city of the Samaritans enter ye not.
Into the city of the Samaritans enter ye not. Why? Because the majority of the people that was in that city weren't our people, but they was proclaiming to be our people at the time. Right. And a lot, in a lot of them, it was dark-skinned nations.
Verse 6, it said, but go rather to the lost sheep of the house of Israel.
Go rather to the lost sheep of the house of Israel. So why do Yahushua say that? That we're going into the history of what? So the heathens always been trying to be like us and like they doing today. You got a lot of heathen nations in the land claiming to be our people. And it started way back. Go back to Genesis 49, and you can get people to pick back up what you said, just for edification. So, all that Egyptologists and whatever that guy was going into, he really contradicted himself. He can name who the so-called white man name, put a name on some people, but we can't. We're talking about the East Asian Chino. Go ahead, bro.
He said something about slavery. Back in Genesis chapter 49, I'll start back at 1. And Jacob called unto his sons and said, gather yourselves together, that I may tell you what shall befall you in the last days. Gather yourselves together and hear, ye sons of Jacob, and hearken unto Israel your father. Reuben, thou art my firstborn, my might, in the beginning of my strength, the excellency of dignity, and the excellency of power. Unstable as water, thou shalt not excel, because thou wentest up to thy father's bed, then defilest thou it. He went up to my couch. Simeon and Levi are brethren.
Simeon and Levi are brother, like he was trying to say how the Dominican Simeon. The Dominicans weren't brought here. Then Levi was brought here. Levi, Judah, Benjamin, and Levi was brought here. Go ahead.
And they
What it means, Simeon and Levi are brother. Go ahead.
They sharing the same land.
Right, they sharing that same island right there on the island of Hispaniola. That's the island where Columbus landed first.
Right. And even
Yeah.
I was gonna say, even though it's separated by a border they have, it's still the same land mass. That's how they brethren.
Who was dwelling over there at that time? It was the so-called Taino Indians, or so-called Puerto Rico, the tribe of Ephraim. Go ahead.
Simeon and Levi are brethren. Instruments of cruelty are in their habitation.
That's that voodoo that left hand, that witchcraft that they into. That's the instruments of cruelty are in their habitation.
O my soul, come not thou into their secret, unto their assembly my honor. Be not thou united, for in their anger they slew a man, and in their self-will they dig down a wall.
So even though they on the same island, they hate each other.
Right.
Go ahead. But it goes back to the process. Be thou not united. Go ahead.
Cursed be their anger, for it was fierce, and their wrath, for it was cruel.
Which is going into when they slayed them Hamitic nations for raping their sister. Go ahead.
I will divide them in Jacob and scatter them in Israel.
Come.
Judah, thou art he whom thy brother shall praise.
So the tribe of Judah is he whom that brother should praise. Go ahead. Because who the Lord and Savior come from the tribe of Judah. Go ahead.
Thy hand shall be in the neck of thine enemies.
Right.
Thy father's
Judah is the head tribe. Judah is the leader of the nation of Israel, the head tribe. So-called Negroes here set the standard for everyone, really for the world.
The head tribe. We got the head of Israel coming from our nation. Coming from our tribe. Judah, thou art he whom thy brethren shall praise. Thy hand shall be in the neck of thine enemies. Thy father's children shall bow down before thee.
Because what it say, the Lord said he's going to save the tribe of Judah first, so go ahead. Our hands are in the neck of our enemies. You got the tribe of Judah in all the top spots in Esau government. You know what I'm saying? No matter what it is, militarily, law enforcement, politically, economically, Judah there. You know what I'm saying? Judah there. Go ahead.
Judah is a lion's whelp from the prey, my son. Thou art gone down. He stooped down. He crouched as a lion, and as a old lion, you shall rouse him up.
Right, so Judah is a lion's whelp. But the so-called white man he didn't rock Judah to sleep. Basically, he know how to rock Judah to sleep. Give them different gifts, you know what I'm saying? When Judah started to rise up, he know how to calm you down. He gave you the civil rights, he gave you the Civil Rights Act. He started funding black businesses, and Judah went right back to sleep. Because like during the time of the 60s, Judah was starting to rise up. He keep riding. And the white man rocked you right back because it wasn't time. Because see, it's this word that's going to, it's really, because, but then that's the time when the spirit of light's going to enter into our people too at the end of the late 60s, early 70s.
And now what Esau do, he'll just have his entertainment. So, he'll have them to do something and, do something in the entertainment world, whatever it is. Our people's mind instantly get distracted. Now, all the things that they was rousing up about, they don't care about it no more. It's like it's been forgotten.
It's just like, you can tell Esau knew that the spirit of life was entered into Jacob. Why you think they had their whole COINTELPRO movement where you had J. Edgar Hoover had this thing about they'll not let a so-called black Messiah rise up. You know? So that's why they was killing anybody who they thought was supposed to rouse up the people. That's why, they Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, they ain't know who the black Messiah, but they ain't understand. It wasn't just gonna be a black Messiah. It was gonna be 144,000 anointed ones rise up. It wasn't gonna be at one time.
He stooped down. He crouched up as a lion.
And that's why that movie came out on Zalaki, Judas and the Black Messiah. Cause they got their Judas too. They got their Judas. They gonna sit there. Like they had back then, the Judas and the Black Messiah. Show you how they had their agents into different organizations to make sure black was. That's why they killed Fred Hampton was part of them. Yeah, different organizations sprang out from there. They got these brothers locked up to this day. It's like they got Larry Hoover, Jeff Ford, all them brothers. They was still fearing this could be one of the black Messiahs. Even though them brothers rose up and they was doing a lot of the stuff they did wasn't right, But then they was like, if they repent, well, if they do repent and get the right man, they got all these people following them. So they was like, nah, we got anybody who had leadership qualities, we got to take them out. We gonna control them. If it is a so-called black Messiah, we gonna control it. It's gonna be our black Messiah. We gonna get it. Right.
He stooped down, crouched as a lion. There's an old lion. Who should rouse him up?
Right. So who gonna rouse you up? Who gonna rouse all the 12 tribes up? It starts with Judah first. It's the word. But Yahweh Shai is the word. So it's the head Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai.
The scepter shall not depart from Judah.
The scepter, the rulership, right. The throne should not depart from Judah.
Or a lawgiver from between his feet.
Or a lawgiver from between his feet.
Until Shiloh come.
Until Shiloh come. Haile Selassie wasn't Haile Selassie wasn't no Shiloh, man.
And unto him shall the gathering of the people be.
Right. Haile Selassie bowed down, kissing Esau's hand, man. What did Yahweh Shai do? Yahweh Shai handled Esau. What did the real Shiloh do? He handled Esau. It was his time to die. He told, what did he tell Pilate? You get smart with him. Boy, they say, boy, I can call legions of angels. I can call legions of angels down right now and handle you. But I'm laying down my life for my people right now. So Haile Selassie ain't lay down his life. He sold out. He bowed down, man. Go look. He got videos of him bowing down, kissing them white boys' hand. Cause see, I watched a lot of history on the Ethiopians and all that. Cause guess what? We had strongholds in Ethiopia at one time. Man. During the time when Jeremiah and them was fleeing, and he went and hid the ark and all that. The places they went to, like Egypt, all that stuff was right there by each other, so it made sense. But
Shai had to do with call one angel. He could have took care of the whole earth, but he said a legion.
And he said he only got the power that the Lord gave him. Yahweh gave him. He said that he really got scared. Then he understood that that's who he was. Binding his foal unto the vine and his ass his coat unto the choice vine. He washed his garments in wine and his clothes in the blood of grapes.
He drunk a lot of wine. Go ahead.
And it's also symbolic for the bloodshed, pertaining to Isaiah 63. His eyes shall be red with wine, and his teeth white with milk. Zebulun shall dwell at the haven of the sea, and he shall be for a haven of ships,
right. And
his border shall be up to Zidon. Issachar is a strong ass.
So Zebulun goes into what is it, Guatemala to Panama? Panamanians. Zebulun. Right, Guatemala to Panama goes back into that whole Panama Canal. Go ahead, bro.
Issachar is a strong ass crouching down between two burdens.
Issachar is a strong ass. The so-called Mexicans. What's the bird they crouching down between North America and South America? He is a strong ass, a donkey. Go ahead, and their symbol is the donkey.
Yeah, I was just about to say that.
Yeah, come.
And the donkey is known as is known for his work too. And he saw that rest was good, and the land that it was pleasant, and bowed his shoulder to bear, and became a servant unto tribute.
He is hired. Issachar became a servant under tribute. No, go ahead. Which
Then,
Issachar name mean he is hired.
then
That's why the Mexicans, it don't matter. You can get them $2 an hour. But guess what? They gonna come up quicker than anybody. They gonna put it all together. Before you know it, Issachar gonna have his own business over here. And it's gonna be going down.
and just thinking about it, a lot of our people, they make fun of how Issachar be staying together, and you know what I'm saying, they be, like you said,
Keep it running.
right. But if you think about it, how in the ancient world, that's how people was, you know, the men, they had service with them, they was all working, the servants was working, obviously. But, it's still, the point is, they had people living together, because you had better chances of survival that way.
Well, that's what I was going to say. They pooled their resources together. They were already getting paid low wages, so one person probably couldn't live, off of what they made. So they pooled everything together, and they were able to. Everybody was able to.
Right, you have better chances of survival that way. A lot of our people, they'll laugh at them and they'll make fun of them, but you know what I'm saying? Issachar actually doing good, in a better position than they at. Dan shall judge his people as one of the tribes of Israel. Dan shall be a serpent by the way, an adder in the path that biteth.
So even though Revelation 12 on Revelation 14 and 7 don't mention Dan, but it say he should judge one of the tribes. He should judge the nation as one of the tribes. Go ahead. So Dan mixed into all the tribes. Go ahead.
Dan shall be a serpent by the way, an adder in the path that biteth the horse heel, so that his rider shall fall back. I have waited without salvation on the Lord. Gad, the troops shall overcome him.
So just like he said Gad, one of North America's enemies. It said troops will overcome him. Who was the troop that overcame Gad? The U.S. Army. And the head guy was Andrew Jackson that took down the North American Indians. Go ahead.
But he shall overcome at the last.
You can stop it right there. Right? But he shall overcome. Gad gonna overcome at the last. So because the tribe's coming back now, we gonna get revenge on Esau.
Right.
Get old Romans 11. After I get this out, you can go back to it. I think you got to understand something. Come up and say, you come up and your beliefs or whatever you got, bring it out. But when we ask you if you believe in the Bible and you say yeah, then let the Bible come out. Don't start spewing out all this different stuff that you saying, but then you show it in the Bible. Then show where it's at in the Bible. It's not there. And that's what that guy was doing. So it's good that he say he know the Bible is the truth, but he caught up, like he said, he gonna bring us some literature. That's what's confusing him. It's different literatures he into. Ain't no wrong with going into different books in the history, but it have to be filtered through the scriptures. If you ain't filtered it through the scriptures, Esau gonna have you twisted up. Yeah.
Romans 11:1. I say then, if God cast away his people, God forbid. For I also am an Israelite.
He said we need to get rid of the sign, bro. This goes back to prophecy. This is Ezekiel 37.
I'm about to say we gotta get there.
You can get it. I'm gonna get this, and then y'all get it. Go ahead.
For I also am an Israelite, the seed of Abraham, of the tribe of Benjamin. The Lord, the Most High, have not cast away his people, which he foreknew.
So why did Paul have to reiterate this in the New Testament for you so-called Christians? You so-called churchgoers, you so-called scholars. Most High never cast away his people. Why you think Paul said, I am from the tribe of Benjamin, of Israelite, of the tribe of Benjamin? And in Romans 9, he let you know who your Mashiach Yahushua died for. Who are Israelites, to pertain to who the flesh, to who the Most High died for, to who pertain to the covenants and the promises and the service of the Most High. Go ahead, bro.
What ye not what the scripture said of Elijah?
Right.
How he maketh intercession to God against Israel, saying, Lord, they have killed thy prophets and dig down thine altars, and I am left alone, and they seek my life.
Right. Just like it with us. We see brothers on the four corners of the earth, but it's we still don't see all the men who the Lord got that's reserved, you know. Go ahead. Because when you count all the camps, you don't count 144,000. You feel me? You don't see 12,000 from each tribe. When you watch the video, you can watch all the camps across the earth. You can't say 12,000 from each tribe.
Right.
Go ahead.
Lord.
It's an example of the Lord got the. It's like he says, it's going to be 12,000 from each tribe. It's 12,000 from each tribe. That's going to be the governing body. And can't nobody stop it. Because Elijah thought he was left alone. But the Lord had to let him know now. Because remember who was it? Obadiah? He was hiding the prophets in the cave, hiding the prophets. You know, during the time of, I think during this time right here, during the time of King Ahab. Go ahead.
But what saith the answer of God unto him?
Which it could be Michael. I forgot who was hiding the prophets. You know, go ahead.
But what saith the answer of God unto him? I have reserved to myself 7,000 men who have not bowed the knee to the image of Baal.
Right, so it's a complete number of men who ain't bowed the knee to Baal. And that's for today right there. Go ahead, they elect.
Even so then, at this present time also there is a remnant according to the election of grace.
See, at this present time. Because Paul was referencing back to Elijah.
Right.
So he let the Israelites know then, you know, he got a reference back to the history. Because everything that written aforetime was written for our learning.
Right.
You know? So this is why we have to go back. That was written for our learning. Because the Most High ain't nothing new under the sun. And the Most High changes not. Therefore, you sons of Jacob are not consumed. So we go back and look at the history of how the Most High always operated with the prophets, with the elect, with the wicked, you know, with how he operates how he operates, period, with everybody. And we go back and look at in scriptures for an example. Oh, okay. This how it go? Boom. Right. Matter of fact, get Romans 15. What you got out?
I'm in Ezekiel.
Get Romans 15 to 4 real quick. Get there real quick. Because when you go back into, just like Peter said, though I stir up your pure minds, though you once knew. He went into what the prophet said. Yahushua. Well, Yahushua, what did he read? The book of Isaiah. And when he was in the temple, the Spirit of the Lord is upon me. You know what I'm saying? He went back to the reference. He went back to King David in Psalms 110. So how then the King David said, the Lord said unto my Lord. Go ahead, bro.
All right. This is Romans 15. I'm going to start at 3. It says, for even Yahushua.
Start at the top.
All right, this is Romans 15 and 1. We then that are strong are to bear the infirmities of the weak.
Right. So if you strong in the faith, you got brothers who ain't as strong as you, we bear the infirmities of the weak. You know? Go ahead.
And not to please ourselves.
Right, because it ain't about yourself. You know? Go ahead.
Let every one of us please.
It's about the Salak, it's about the whole body. You know what I'm saying? It's about the whole body. Being jointly fitted, tighter together.
Let every one of us please his neighbor for his goods to edification.
Right, because it's all about building up the next brother or sister. Go ahead, that they stay strong. Go ahead.
For even Yahushua pleases not himself, but as it is written, the reproaches of them that reproached thee fell on me.
Right, go ahead. And we have to be in this same mind frame. Why you think Paul said, I endure all things for the elect's sakes, So you got to have that mind frame. You enduring, you got to endure all things for the elect. You know, that's what you got. You got to have. Hey, what better gift than a man lay down his life for his friend? And it ain't just talking about physical.
Right.
It's just talking about you not putting yourself first also.
Verse 4, it said, for whatsoever things were written aforetime were written for our learning.
That's the point. Whatsoever things was written aforetime was written for our learning. So yes, we have to go back into we gotta go. We gotta eat the whole book, the whole book. Because we start talking about these covenants and promises, the new covenant. If it's a new covenant, then we got to see where was the old covenant.
And who was for?
Who it was for? Because if it's a new covenant, I can't make a new covenant with someone I never had an old covenant with.
Right.
It don't make no sense. Walk up to this guy, I'm gonna make a new covenant with you, bro. And he never seen me before. What you talking about? What's the old covenant? So we go back into the history. Where was the covenant established with? Genesis 15, Abraham.
You already quoted the scripture. The Lord changed not. So if he made an old covenant with the one group, he's gonna make that new covenant with the same group.
Verse 4, it says that we
Read it from the top.
Verse 4, it said, whatsoever things were written aforetime were written for our learning, that we through patience and comfort of the scriptures might have hope.
See, so this is why whatsoever things were written aforetime that was written for our learning, that we through patience. What it say?
Might have hope.
Through comfort and patience.
Patience and comfort.
Patience scriptures. Patience and comfort of the scriptures might have hope.
We'll read that in the NLT too. Verse 4 in the NLT, it says, for such things were written in the scriptures long time ago to teach us.
Right.
And the scriptures give us hope and encouragement as we wait patiently for the promises to be fulfilled.
Right, because the promises haven't been fulfilled. We haven't got the new bodies yet. That's the fulfillment of the new covenant. The law, statutes, and commandments being put in our inward parts, and that's only for the 12 tribes of Israel. Hebrews the 8th chapter. Right. Come. That's it.
Yeah, that's it.
Go ahead, bro.
Back at Romans 11, verse 5 again. Even so then, at this present time also, there is a remnant according to the election of grace. And if by grace...
So a lot of people want to know, like saying like they got something, and they be searching for the truth. You know what I'm saying? But the Most High got to give you that spirit of truth. Right. You got to be humble enough to humble yourself and learn. That guy came up, but he came up trying to disprove stuff and this and that. But you believe in the Bible then, so we'll give you the Bible and make your point out of the Bible. If you can't do that, bro, you wasting your time with us, because we believe we gonna let the Most High, we gonna let these words speak.
And if by grace, then it is no more of works. Otherwise, grace is no more grace.
See, so it's all about the grace. The Most High chose you to receive His truth. It ain't the works. You can study all you want to. You can get 1,000 books and still be lost, because the Most High ain't give you that grace and that spirit, mercy and truth are met together.
Right. But if it be of works, then it is no more grace.
But you got to put in the work once He revealed it to you. Go ahead, but it ain't a works.
Otherwise, work is no more work.
Right.
What then? Israel have not obtained that which he seeketh.
So the whole nation ain't obtained that which he's seeking for. Because a lot of people be seeking for the truth. They in the churches. They in all these different religions.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? In these different organizations trying to find the truth. But Israel have not obtained that which he's seeking for.
But the election have obtained it.
So those who the Most High chose to get it, they have obtained it.
And the rest were blinded.
The rest was blinded.
According as it is written, Yahweh by Hashem Yahushua have given them the spirit of slumber.
Spirit of slumber, spiritual stupor. When you look it up in the Greek, he made them spiritually stupid where they can't get it. They can be so close to this. They can have a little stuff right
too. Eyes that they should not see, and ears that they should not hear unto this day.
Right, to this day. That was back then and that's even now. See, but that was written before time, what Paul wrote. But that was written for our learning. Ain't nothing new under the sun.
And David said, let their table be made a snare.
So what's your table? Your table is where you're supposed to eat it. It's for your welfare. You're supposed to get nourished. But David said, let that table become a snare. So what you eat, it becomes a snare unto you. You get trapped up. And this word trapped you up.
In a trap, and a stumbling block.
So this word, Yahweh shall become a stumbling block unto you.
And a recompense unto them.
Right.
Let their eyes be darkened, that they may not see, and bow down their back always.
So our job is just to bring out the word. It's the Most High who's gonna open your eyes. It's you already. See, if you were sanctified from the beginning, it's just one thing. You know what I'm saying? This word gonna stir up your pure mind, and you gonna get it. It ain't even about it. But through the foolishness of preaching, it pleases the Most High to save them to believe. Right. Because he's not coming off the throne to do nothing. So he set up his men, elect men. They're going to teach the word, and the word is going to seal up the rest of the year.
I say then, have they stumbled that they should fall? Most High forbid.
Which we can go ahead. We're going to go finish that, and y'all can go to that, pick back up where y'all was at.
I say then, have they stumbled that they should fall? God forbid. But rather, through their fall, salvation is coming to the Gentiles for to provoke them to jealousy. All this going to speak on it. And that Gentiles going to our people in that Gentile state of mind, the Hellenistic Jews, which in today's time, it'll be westernized Jews.
Westernized Israelites.
Israelites.
Like you said, that was going to at that time, the Israelite people who was considered Gentiles. They had been through different captivities. They fell away from their heritage. Right. They were keeping the customs of the other nations, mainly the Greeks. And our people who did fall away from their heritage, they was looking at them they was looking at them as Gentiles. You can go back. To that in the Ezekiel. Unless y'all want to keep going on it?
Yeah, man.
Go back.
All right, this is Ezekiel 35.
Let's keep going, bro. It's just the spirit got to the spirit to them. Okay, go ahead. Read that again. It's another thing. The churches use this. See, that's salvation for everybody. You don't understand it. You got to keep reading the whole chapter and see what that's going into.
Romans 11:11 again. I say then, have they stumbled that they should fall? God forbid. But rather, through their fall, salvation is come unto the Gentiles for to provoke them to jealousy. Like I said, because at first it was preached to the Jews that was in the land, it was preached to those that knew this truth. But then, a lot of the leaders of our people, the Jews back then, they rejected it. So now, it's preached unto those that basically, like I said, the Hellenistic Jews, those that weren't keeping the customs of the Hellenistic Israelites, those that weren't keeping the customs, of Israel, keeping our customs and everything. They was keeping the customs of the Greeks, in the surrounding areas where our people were scattered. And just like in today's time, our people are scattered over here in America. So now we've been westernized. So it's the westernized Israelites. But the Gentiles still go back to our people. Now, if the fall of them be the riches of the world, and the diminishing of them the riches of the Gentiles, how much more their fullness? For I speak to you, Gentiles, inasmuch as I am the apostle of Gentiles, I magnify my office, which Paul was sent to the Gentiles, because the Lord used Paul because he was very fluent in all the different languages, and he had a lot of knowledge too. So that's why he said he was an apostle of the Gentiles. This is, this is Paul's mission. This is why in the New Testament you see him going to the Romans and to the Ephesus and to Thessalonica, and to Colossae, to all the neighboring Galatia, all the neighboring countries. If by any means I may provoke to emulation, Salaki. If by any means I may provoke to emulation them which are my flesh, and might save some of them. But if the casting away of them be the reconciling of the world, what shall be the receiving of them? What shall the receiving of them be but life from the dead? Which, our people coming back to that, like you said, the spiritual slumber, the spiritual stupor. That's basically our people being spiritually dead. So they coming back to life now,
Back to Ezekiel 37, those dry bones waking up and coming back to the knowledge and going into Revelation 11, where the Most High woke us up and, talks about how Esau kept us spiritually dead.
For if the first fruits be holy, the lump is also holy. And if the root be holy, so are the branches. This is why I started with the first fruits, 144,000. The men that has been rising up. Some have already passed on. Some is still here to this day. But it all start back to when, going back to the early 1960s, late 1960s, early 1970s, during the time of Abba Biblis, when Elder Abba Biblis, when he started, when the truth started to become more and more fruitful in the earth, which the truth was always here, but it started to become more and more fruitful, and then men has started to rise up into what you see today, the elders and apostles, the GMS, and the men under them, all across the four corners of the earth. So when the first fruits, the men start to rise up and they teaching this word, then the lump, which is going into the rest of their body, the rest of the elect, then they start to get edified. They start to learn the truth, and now they starting to become made holy too, which means set apart. Which I read it again. Romans 11, verse 16.
What verse?
Start at 16.
All right, this is Romans 11:16. It says, "For if the first fruit be holy, the lump is also holy. And if the root be holy, so are the branches."
Right. So like I said, it started with the men that the Lord has risen up to 144,000, which,
If I can say this, bro, the root is start when you have a shot. Start with the Heavenly Father, he the root. He the firstborn brother. Like a brother going into it, then it goes into the 144,000. The root is your house. Shall I read that again?
It said, "For if the first fruit be holy, the lump."
Then, like you said, then the first fruits come.
Then it says, "The first fruit be holy, the lump is also holy.
You got it.
And if the root be holy, so are the branches."
So like the brother was saying, the first fruit goes to the 144,000. The root is your Hawashai. That's the root we come from. So is the branches. So eventually the whole 12 tribes is going to be holy. You got it, right?
"And if some of the branches be broken off, and thou be a wild olive tree, work grafted in among them, and with them partakest of the root and fatness of the olive tree."
Right, so it said some of those branches were broken off, meaning they was already a part of it at one point. But being broken, it's all symbolic, it's all metaphorically. This is how Paul's speaking, which is through the Spirit of the Lord. He's speaking metaphorically, basically saying, we was the nation of Israel, but we fell off. We was keeping the customs of the nation of Israel, but we fell off. But now we are to be grafted back in. Just like when we came over here, like the brother, I don't know if we got it. You can get it real quick. Jeremiah 17:4. I know you had called it out earlier, but we had lost. We had discontinued from our heritage, so that represents us being broken off on the branches being broken off. Jeremiah 17. I was saying, get Jeremiah 17:4. That precept to there. It said the branches being broken off. That's basically our people discontinuing from our heritage. And it started back then, our people being Hellenized. And it happened again in today's time. This is why we coming back, being grafted back in.
This is Jeremiah 17:4, and though even thyself shall discontinue from thy heritage that I have gave thee, and I will cause thee to serve thy enemies in a land which thou knowest not, for ye have kindled a fire in my anger, which shall burn forever.
Right, so we discontinued from the heritage because we weren't serving Yahweh Shem Yahushua. We was worshiping false gods and false idols, like we read in the 2 Kings. The nation of Israel, the southern kingdom and the northern kingdom, our people were doing. So we discontinued from our heritage. That was representation. That was representing us being broken off from that branch or broken off on the tree.
Verse 18 in Romans 11. Boast not against the branches.
Can you read it again? I would say read 17.
Verse 17. If some of the branches be broken off, and thou being a wild olive tree, work grafted in among them, and with them partakers of the root and fatness of the olive tree.
Right, so it said we're grafted in with them. That them represents our people that were still keeping the custom. But the wild olive tree, or the branches that were broken off, which represent the wild olive tree, was our people that kept in old time, and in that time period they was keeping the Greek custom. Because our people had came out of that hard Greek captivity, and that was Roman captivity. Under the Romans, so our people have been Hellenized with all these different doctrines and philosophies. So we was broken off, but now they being grafted back into the tree. Now they can partake into the fruits and the benefits, which is the promises, the covenants, the giving of the law, Romans chapter 9. Ultimately, the blessings.
I'm gonna get that word.
Right.
Ekempriso, that's for grafted in, which you say to cut into for the sake of inserting a skill.
I think you had looked at that word skill.
Then we're gonna look up the word skill.
First looking at it, I know who you thought that was.
It's the word skion, or the descendant of a notable family. He was the skion of a wealthy family.
Right, the skion of a wealthy family, of a notable family. That notable family is the nation of Israel. The nation of the tribe. The nation of Israel, the Israelites. So these are the ones that was grafted back in. Those that was of the nation of Israel, of that notable family.
Then it says, what is skion in the Bible? A descendant, child especially a descendant of a wealthy, aristocratic, or influential family.
Aristocratic and influential family, which is the nation of Israel. Ain't no other nation on the face of the earth can fit that description. So it said a descendant. So this how you know that those that was grafted in was a descendant of they was a descendant of the nation of Israel. They was already a part of the tree. So it ain't talking about the other nations, the Gentiles, the natural Gentiles. It ain't talking about them.
I got another one. Let's see.
Because you got a lot of our people, like, they still into all these other customs. They in a Gentile state of mind. They still a descendant of the nation of Israel, according to the flesh. But in their mind, they basically like a heathen. And that's why, I'm gonna say it again. Any of our people that want to uphold America, they want to basically live the Edomite dream, live the American dream. They're gonna receive the punishment of an Edomite. Even though they're Israelite, they still want to uphold Esau, Edom. So they basically looked at as an Edomite, a heathen, because of their mindset. So like,
this is a scion in the Bible hub. It's a piece of slender branch or twig cut for grafting. Hence, a descendant and heir.
A descendant and heir.
As a scion of a royal stock.
Royal stock. We are royal people. We are the men who make up kings and priests. And we the heir of the heavenly Father, Yahweh, which is the King. Yahweh Shai. He the King of kings and Lords of lords. And we joint heirs with him. So this is how you know that that branch that was cut off, that was grafted back in, it's a descendant of the nation of Israel. Nobody else, no heathen nation.
It became a wild olive tree, just like in today's term. When Jake started doing something that ain't right, he be like he wild.
Right, you wild.
Wow. Right, wild in that. It's the same terminology, which I'm gonna get I think it's in Jeremiah too. A degenerate plant. Then I'm gonna get Isaiah 5 too.
The Lord always metaphorically and compare us to other things. Or, use symbolism to compare us to other things. And like the brother just said, this is our terminology. So really, this is really what the Lord is saying about us. We acting wild.
This is Jeremiah. And see, like the brother said, it started even before, it started during the time when the Assyrians took us on. We became wild. And it's a spirit. This is what we just was going into. When the Assyrians, we went into 2 Kings 17, and we started keeping the ways of the heathens, we started to come wild. We weren't keeping our customs.
What happened to branches? As Yahushua said, cut off the branches and cast them in the fire. What you do with a branch? You cut it up and you get the best wood out of that branch and use it as kindle. What is kindle wood used for? It's used for starting a fire because it burns good. So, it's metaphorically speaking, those branches going to be cast into the fire. They're wilding out.
This is Jeremiah chapter 2, starting in verse 17. Hast thou not procured this unto thyself, and that thou hast forsaken the Lord thy power, when he led thee by the way? And now what hast thou to do in the way of Egypt, and to drink the waters of Sihor? And what hast thou to do in the way of Assyria, to drink the waters of the river?
Right, Lord basically said you brought this on yourself. What you doing messing with the guys in Egypt and the guys in Assyria when I told you not to do that?
Thine own wickedness shall correct thee, and thy backsliding shall reprove thee.
Right.
Know therefore and see that it is an evil thing and bitter that thou hast forsaken the Lord thy God.
Right. He said our own backsliding go correct us. So through our backsliding, through our ignorance, we learned, through the punishment of it, we learned that we weren't supposed to do that. This is what you see to this day.
And that my fear is not in thee, saith the Lord, power of hosts. Yahweh Shai. For of old time I have broken thy yoke and burst thy bands, and thou saidest, I will not transgress.
Right, during the time of Judges.
When upon every high hill and every green tree thou wanderest playing the harlot. Verse 21. Yet I have planted thee a noble vine, holy and right seed. How then art thou turned into the degenerate plant of a strange vine unto me?
Right, so you was a notable vine of a good tree. You turned into a degenerate plant. You basically became worthless. You became wicked, you know, of no value, basically.
So this is that wild idolatry, that degenerate plant. I'm gonna get that. I'm trying to get the degenerate plant. Then I'm gonna get Isaiah 5 when they go into the wild grapes.
Is that where he said I would sing a song about my beloved son?
I just want degenerate shoots of the foreign vine. Then it go into shoots and twigs being grafted in. So it was always compared. They was making parables always to the type of lives we were living. A lot of us were fishermen. You know what I'm saying? It was the life they were living at the time. Farmers, fishermen. You know what I'm saying? Like he was always making parables about the you know what I'm saying, about the different life they were living so they can understand. So when Paul made that parable about a tree being grafted in to the Israelites, anybody who knew anything about farming and planting, they already understood you can't graft another part of a shoot of a tree into it had to be of that same family, it had to be of that same tree.
Right.
You know, you can't graft the apple tree into an orange tree. You know, and anybody who knew anything about planting and gardening, you will understand what this was talking about. So, but that's why we got to go back and look up the words, because reading it for face value, going into Gentiles and all that, like they taught us in the churches, then you would think, okay, this talking about the other nations. But when you start going into grafting and skiing and learning the terminology of gardening, you'll understand, hold on, this are the same family. You know, even right here where they say, I made you of a noble vine, but you have become a degenerate plant. Right. The noble vine he gave us the law, statutes, and commandments. Right. That's what made us of that royal lineage. You know, when he chose us and made the covenant, but then we broke the covenant. Now you degenerate, like you was going into it, degenerate to him.
And that tie back in what you said, Yahweh Shai is that vine. Because like you said, he gave us the law, statutes, and commandments. Yahweh Shai is the word.
Here you go. So this for degenerate plant right here. Let me get the Hebrew word, Salaki. Let me go back. Sahar, which says degenerate, deteriorated, degenerate shoots of the foreign vine, figuratively. But then when you go into the Hebrew Chaldean lexicon, and exile and expel those who are removed from me, i.e., who have departed.
Right, those who have departed from the Lord.
Then it say a degenerate branch or shoot. Compare the root. Right. The degenerate branches of a strange vine.
Right, it said it departed from the Lord. You think about it all throughout the scriptures. It tells you that the Israelites who departed from the Lord, we definitely ain't no other nation apart from the Lord, because the Lord only chose one nation. And we became degenerate. This is how the Lord look at the other nations. Like they nothing. Like they worthless. You know, they don't mean nothing to them. They basically degenerate. So us cleaving unto these other nations and making covenants with them, this is how we made ourselves like a degenerate plant. Because we departed from him.
To turn aside, to go away.
Right.
With Isaiah 5. Going in verse 1. Now will I sing, Isaiah 5:1. Now will I sing to my well-beloved a song of my beloved touching my vineyard, touching his vineyard. My well-beloved had a vineyard in a very fruitful hill, and he fixed it, and gathered out the stones thereof, and planted it with the choicest vines.
Right, the choicest vine.
And built a tower in the midst of it. And also made a winepress therein, and he looked that it should bring forth grapes, and it brought forth wild grapes.
Right, so all of that is symbolic of the nation of Israel. He gave us our land, you know, he set up the watchmen, the towers, you know, he planted it. He gave us the laws, statutes, and commandments, which is also a representation of that watchman, the tower. And it was supposed to bring forth grapes. You know, we were supposed to establish righteousness in the earth. Instead, we established wickedness. That's their wild grape. Going back to what the brother said, we wilding out. We acting wild.
That word wild right there.
Probably get on Google too.
Just say stinking or worthless things.
Worthless. We started, like I said, we started to act like the other nations, the heathen nations. And we know the other nations, they worthless to the Lord. They looked at us less than nothing. This is what the Lord said. So this is a part of how we made ourselves wild. That's why we went into it yesterday. That's why the Lord said, don't make no covenants with the heathens. Don't have nothing to do with them. Because when you start making covenants and agreements with them, then the men, they gonna start to turn away. The other nations, they gonna turn away the hearts of the Lord from following Him. So that's making ourselves degenerate.
Verse 5. And now go to, and I will tell you what I will do to my vineyard. I will take away the heads thereof, and it shall be eaten up, and break down the wild thereof, and it shall be trodden down.
Right, so all the protection, the Lord took away our protection. He wasn't there to protect us, and He allowed the other nations to basically eat off us and destroy us. They eating off us still to this day, all nations.
I will lay it waste, and it shall not be pruned, nor did, but there shall come up briars and thorns.
Right, briars and thorns, because the Lord said the nation's going to be thorns and things. They're going to be thorns on our sides if we do that, if we make covenants with them. And now this is how it is. They thorns on our side.
I will also command the clouds that rain, no rain, that they rain, no rain upon it.
Right, so we want to be prosperous in whatever we do and wherever we go. That's the representation of that rain.
For the vineyard of the Lord of hosts is the house of Israel, and the men of Judah is his pleasant plant. And he looked for judgment, but behold oppression, for righteousness, but behold a cry. Come. So just like the brother was going into, we go back into the scriptures and show you, when we started to become wild grapes, a wild olive tree. Because a grape is like an olive, you know what I'm saying? A grape and an olive they different. But it's just going to show you how he called us a wild grape or a degenerate plant. That's the same thing as a wild olive tree. But going to show you when this happened, and it didn't stop happening. It went from Assyria to the Babylonians, empire to the Persian empire to then when the Greeks, and they tell you when the Greeks took us down, this shaped the whole world of the New Testament when the Greeks took over. When you go into the history, what you got there wrong with them?
Which goes back into your Yahweh parable of the man that planted a vineyard. All right, this is Romans 11 and 18. It said, "Boast not against the branches, but if thou boast, thou bearest not the root."
And boast not against the branches. If thou boast, thou bearest not the root, which the root is Yahweh Shai. Go ahead.
But the root thee.
It's because eventually we all gonna be holy. Because it's the root holy, like I said, the first fruits. Because like I said, if it weren't for the remnant, we would have been as the house, we would have been as on Sodom and Gomorrah. But it starts with Yahushua and those men who follow him wheresoever he goes, you know, which the elect is going, the nation, the whole nation of Israel is going to come back and be holy through them eventually. Go ahead, bro.
All right, verse 19, it says, Thou wilt say, then the branches were broken off, that I might be grafted in.
Right, so this is what those Israelites who were saying that was in that Gentile state of mind, because they started like, you know, it was some strife there. But the Lord said he was going to provoke them to jealousy with a foolish nation. You know, that was prophesied all the way back during the time of Moses, Deuteronomy 32. Go ahead.
Verse 20, it said, Salaki, well, because of unbelief, they were broken off.
Right, see, because of unbelief, they was broken off because you had a lot of people at that time. They ain't believe in the Messiah. You know, they was broken up.
And thou standest by faith. Be not high-minded, but fear.
So they were standing by faith, even though they had went their whole time in keeping the customs of the other nations. Once they heard that gospel teach to them, like, you gotta have faith. Now Yahushua died for y'all sins for y'all to come back. They just believed that and ran with it. The first thing was belief, you know, and then the X was gonna start to come. Going to tell Abraham, they said he believed on the Most High, and it was counted unto him for righteousness. So once they believed, it was counted unto them for righteousness. And then now eventually, you know, once they started to learn, now they get the head of faith in Yahushua. Then now, do they make void the law through faith? The Most High forbid. Now they started to establish the law. So now they started to come back little by little, learn about their customs and their ways, and then their faith gonna build and build. And you gonna start it just like say for instance now, you got somebody been listening for 2 months or 3 months. When you gonna expect them to be keeping all the, you know what I'm saying, doing this, you know, it's a process they gonna go through. Keeping these, they might have a problem with growing their beard from the dough. You know what I'm saying? Not getting lined up. You know, it might take them 6 months, a year they just click all the way in.
Right. You know, but that process, you know, it'd be different for every brother. Some might be quicker, some might, you know, for them to tighten, you know, basically tighten up, and some might take a little longer.
My Paul went to the Galatians, who have been with you. That you, was you saved through the keeping of the law or through the hearing of faith? Which just started with them hearing. Go ahead.
Verse 21, it said, For if Yahweh spared not the natural branches,
which when he goes into the natural branches, the law was natural. They was keeping the law natural. It was a natural thing to them. You know? But you didn't spare them because they was keeping the law naturally, but they still weren't right. You know? You gotta see right, because you can be doing the right thing but have the wrong mind for it. Going into the Republican in the was it a Pharisee? The publican had went to pray. Luke the 18th chapter.
now so pray not like the Pharisees and
Right. You can be doing the right thing but have the wrong mind frame. The Most High ain't good. You be keeping the law, statutes, and commandments, but you'll be thinking you'll have pride. It's all about you. I do this now. It ain't a works. You still got to humble yourself. You still is nothing. You still gonna go out. You do it. This body is flick. This body is sin.
Righteousness is filthy rags.
Come.
Right, verse 21, it said, For if Yahweh spare not the natural branches, take heed lest he also spare not thee. Behold, therefore, the goodness and serenity of Yahweh, on them which fail, serenity. But
Dress all warm,
but
I barely see it.
yeah, toward garments on, man. Go ahead.
But
He looked at us and he hung up and turned to him when he got to the light right. Those guys think they are.
You know who we are.
Here it comes.
But toward thee goodness, if thou
Read Salaki, I read that.
It said, behold, therefore, the goodness and the serenity of Yahweh on them which fail serenity, but toward thee goodness, if thou continue in his goodness, otherwise thou
Be cut off.
also shalt be cut off.
You got to continue in his goodness. You got to endure to the end. Because you get cut off too. We'll get cut off too. Over there.
And they also, if they abide not, still unbelief shall be grafted in, for Yahweh is able to graft them in again.
So Paul was like, if those guys repent, those Jews who know they was Jews, who know they was the people, they turn from their ways and repent, then they can be, they can be grafted into, back into those who was cut off. So he was making the distinction. You got to understand what's going on right here.
I had laughed because he said cut off, going back how we always say, that's our terminology.
He's going to cut you off.
Right.
They can cut you off.
This the Lord said he'll cut you off. That's even worse.
That's where we get this. This where we get this talk from.
The Lord was the best. I was just saying the Lord is the best at everything, Best metaphorical speaker, best symbolic speaker, for lack of a better way of saying it, and we get all our things from him.
Verse 25, it said, for I would not, brethren, that ye should be ignorant of these mysteries.
So why is this a mystery? If he's speaking straightforward, what he mean by be ignorant of these mysteries? Why is there such a mystery right there? That's a key word right there. It was a mystery. It's a mystery unto this day.
Lest ye should be wise in your own conceit, that blindness in that part is happening to Israel,
Right.
until the fullness of the Gentiles be come in you.
Until the fullness, until that time basically comes, until they eyes be open,
And so shall Israel shall be saved, as it is written, there shall come out of Zion. It said, and so all Israel shall be saved, as it is written.
So why did Paul say right here? After all that, don't be wise. He see the one that they hear this up.
I was looking up from this. I didn't know what she had on.
So he said he don't want you wise. He don't want you be ignorant of this mystery and be wise in your own mind, your own conceit. And then he come right back and he go ahead up.
And so all Israel shall be saved.
That's who he was talking about. So why he saying all? And so all Israel shall be saved. That's who he was talking about Israel the whole time.
That's why he mentioned them being cut off. Then they go, all Israel gonna be saved in the end.
As it is written, there shall come out of Zion the deliverer, and shall turn away ungodliness from Jacob.
Right, come out of Zion the deliverer, which is Yahweh Shai. He came out of the nation of Israel. The nation of Israel from the tribe of Judah until Shiloh come. That was Yahweh Shai. And turn away all ungodliness from Israel. Start with the 144,000, the 1/3. We get those new bodies. Ungodliness is going to be completely turned away. It's being turned away now. But we ain't going to have that fullness until we get those new bodies. And then I say all Israel can be saved because two-thirds of our people going to come back, as children in the kingdom of heaven. With those new bodies.
Live happily ever after.
Right.
This is my covenant. But this is my covenant unto them.
This is his covenant unto me. Yeah.
And I shall take away their sins.
Right. We shall fully take away our sins. We'll be perfect. That's only for the nation of Israel.
As concerning the gospel, they are enemies for your sake.
Right. As concerning this truth, they against us.
But as touching the election, they are beloved for the Father's sake.
Right. Yeah, because they're Israelite, they belong. Going to the truth.
The gifts and the calling of the gifts and the calling of Yahweh are without repentance. For as in time past have not believed Yahweh yet,
have not obtained mercy through their unbelief. Even so, have these also now not believed that thou that will be for mercy, they also will obtain mercy.
Mercy, y'all, like, you know, y'all begin to say mercy. Just us coming out here preaching His word, just us receiving His word first and foremost, and then coming out being able to teach His mercy. Because we had, like the brother said yesterday, he didn't have no idea when he was a child that he was going to be doing this, and any other brothers that's doing it now.
For the Lord has included in all in unbelief, that he may have mercy upon all.
Included all of us in her. We all fell away. We was all into false doctrine. You know, with this story with him. Right. Oh man. One man we all, man. One man we all need to say. Oh, the depth of the riches, both of the wisdom and knowledge of the Lord, and unsearchable are, and how unsearchable are His judgment and His ways past finding out.